Hi everyone. So first off, I'd like to say that I think that Holes is really relatable and loved by so many people because of just how real the scenes are within the book. The fact that it's placed within a labor camp ties back to show that these are real places where inmates had to work and suffer to pay back their debt to society. Um, which I feel like to some kids they may not know that. And this book also pulls on the reader's sympathy um, as we feel for Stanley, who was wrongfully convicted of his crime, but still also had to suffer through the pain of digging the holes, as well as his background of being bullied, which many kids would relate to. Years ago, being bullied, and the kids nowadays that are being bullied. Bullying is such a prominent thing that will always stay with us because there will always be somebody that thinks that they should bully. And what I think is Hull's biggest strength, though, is definitely its characters. For instance, Zero, just its character development. Just Zero started out as this kid who would never talk. They said, "Hi, Zero," nothing. He didn't say anything. But as the story developed, we learned that of his hardships and felt sympathy for the young boy who had to ask to learn how to read, and the boy who lost his mother at a very young age, and he just stayed in a park, and which led to where he was now. And I think that Hull shares the characteristics of legends and folktales because there's a hero who completed an impossible deed to save someone. And Holes, near the end of the book, we see Stanley and Zero doing their best to reach the top of the Thumb Mountain, but both boys, especially Zero, are completely exhausted and dehydrated. Halfway up, Zero collapses, and now Stanley has to carry him up the hill. He does that successfully, and almost with ease. But then a few days later, when Stanley has to go back down the hill, he realizes just how far he's carried Stanley up the hill. And in the book, Stanley even repeatedly tells him it's impossible, it must have rolled down, no way I went down this far as he's walking down the hill, and it must have rolled. But the impossible truth is that he actually carried Zero all the way up that mountain and saved his life. And I think that the analysis of this book about the masculinity is very accurate because just the simple, from the beginning to the end, Mr. Sir tells the boys repeatedly that this isn't the Girl Scouts, just showing that this is no place to be weak and to complain, that they must be strong and tough and not show fear. My other thing is the book that I chose to analyze this week is The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morse Lesmore. And I think that the illustrations in this book really work together extremely well, especially here with this line where it says, Sometimes Morris would become lost in a book and scarcely emerge for days. And the illustration then shows a little Mr. Morris running through the words of a book, hanging on to a J, bouncing around through pages, sliding along the words, laying around, doing this. And then I think it just shows that, and that just shows what it is to be lost in a book. And this just shows him, the illustration shows him physically becoming lost in the book while also relying on the fact that he was subconsciously lost in the book. And I think that the author of this book, William Joyce, was able to show that books are extremely, the reason that the books are characters is to show that books are extremely important and can show people a whole different part of the world just through the words on the page. In fact, I was working with some students this week who were going over that good details create pictures in your head, and I think that's just what Joyce was trying to say, that the power of books can show not only, can just the words on a page can show complete pictures in your mind that are extremely important, and that the power of books can show not only the ups but also the downs of life with just really good details. And I really think that this book would not be very good for young readers because it just shows aspects of life and death that most 4-year-olds would not understand, leading them to become confused by the book instead of enthralled in it. And I honestly think that this book would be great for kids around the age of 10 to 12 because they could really see the real beauty within this book.